Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legends Fantastic Four 2-pack with Franklin and Valeria. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at this Marvel Legends Fantastic Four 2-pack with the son and daughter of Reed and Sue. It is of course Franklin and Valeria Richards for the very first time in Marvel Legends form. Now technically we did get Franklin as a glorified accessory during the Toy Biz days in a Fantastic Four gift set, but this is definitely the first time we're getting these two characters as actual Marvel Legends. Now, is it our mind's eye? Is it the desired version of these two characters we would like in our collection? That is up for debate, but it is still an accurate representation of Franklin and Valeria from the sort of recent Dan Slott Fantastic Four run from about 2018 onwards. In that run, they did wear a couple of different uniforms. This one isn't long-lived, but it is accurate to the comic book page. So there we get a couple of digital renders on the front, Fantastic Four logo down there, one up top as well, comic image on the side, digital renders on the other side, and on the back, more digital renders with all the accessories we get packed in here. We actually get another character, as that is Turg. That is like an advanced moloid without a body. He is part of the Future Foundation, which again made us think we were going to get these in white uniforms, but no, we're not. So to be honest, it doesn't really make much sense. But anyway, I'll explain all as we go through it, and let's get them open. Here we have everything out of the packaging, including Franklin, Valeria, and then in the middle there, we have Turg. Now you can't see on my white background, but he is on a translucent base, which definitely helps for posing. All the other accessories are just sets of interchangeable hands, and then some generic sort of scientist stuff. Everything here is reuse apart from the three heads. So we get a new Franklin head, new Valeria head, and a new Turg head. Absolutely everything else is just creative reuse. But as I said, it is accurate to the comic book page, so you can see why they went there. The body choices are quite interesting because they've went for the highly articulated, brand new pinless Spider-Man 60th anniversary body for Franklin, and then Valeria doesn't quite get that same treatment, as you have pins on the legs and single jointed elbows. So this is definitely an older female body, which even without heels is quite awkward to stand sometimes. But we'll go through this one by one, and let's start off with Franklin. Now I know what you're thinking, Franklin Richards was blonde, but as I said, after Secret Wars they aged up the kids, and for no particular reason Franklin dyed his hair black, and it just stayed that way ever since. So when you compare this to the comic book page, I actually think this is a very solid head sculpt. It looks really nice. That digital face printing tech makes all the difference, even on these comic book figures. Just looks crisp and clean. It just has that sense of realism to it, even though it's a comic book figure. I like the sharp blue eyes and then the jet black hair with the sort of spiked up. Really nice. So as I said, this is the only new thing on this figure. So this is the main event. I'll spin it all the way around. Jet black hair, no detail in regards to paint in that, but it is a new sculpt. And yeah, overall a very solid Franklin Richards head sculpt. He has the F on his chest. Now that F doesn't stand for fantastic, it stands for Franklin, because he is in the same matching uniforms of the rest of the family that we already have in this Dan Slott sort of darker black, sort of darker blue trim. And it's on the 60th anniversary Spider-Man body. Now don't ask me why, but I'm not mad at it, as it is probably the best sort of male articulated body we have right now. It is a completely pinless, so we have the pinless double jointed elbows and the pinless double jointed knees, and just so much range of articulation, probably too much for Franklin, like I'm not going to lie. You've got the diaphragm joint up top combined with the sort of waist crunch, and then yeah, just like absolutely insane amount of articulation. Bicep swivel, shoulders on a butterfly, double jointed pinless elbows as I've already showed you, and then the double jointed knees down here as well. Can he kick his own back? Yes he can. Thigh swivel, boot cut as well, which doesn't break up the design because the boots are a different colour. And yeah, just all in all, a great looking pinless Marvel Legend of this version of Franklin. Now selfishly I would have preferred a young blonde Franklin for my collection, but but at least we have the rest of the family for these to pair up with. So yeah, in regards to this, he comes out of the box with a set of open palm hands to hold some of those accessories, but we also get a set of fisted hands, which you know I always appreciate for fighting poses or just simply a neutral pose on the shelf. So there you go, some fisted hands for Franklin, and overall looking really good. Moving on to his slightly younger sister Valeria, who we are definitely getting for the very first time in Marvel Legends. Again, she was aged up a little bit, and this is a great head sculpt when you compare it to the comic book page. Like, I really like it. Sometimes when I zoom in, I don't feel like it does it justice, but in hand, I promise you it's really nice. That digital face printing tech makes all the difference. That sharp, crisp blue eyes, and then the hair sculpt is unique, and it's like a dirty blonde. It's got like a unique sculpt, blonde hair, but there's definitely like a dirty wash to it as well. So yeah, dirty blonde is probably the best way to explain that. But overall, really, really nice head sculpt there for Valeria. She also has the V on her chest for Valeria. But what I don't like is that it's on an older female body. So we get a nicely newly updated pinless Franklin. But for Valeria, we get an old, outdated body. Now, will it work for display? Sure. But is it the best they can give us right now? No, absolutely not. So the shoulders go all the way up, no problem, but it is just single jointed elbows. The advantage of single elbows, if there is an advantage, is they're pinless, but I would rather it be double jointed, knowing that exists now. No waist cut or anything like that. All the movement is at the diaphragm. So when it comes to like bending her back and forwards, you're going to have hardly no motion at all. Like, I'm struggling to get her to move at all. So you're going to get swivel, but not really any back and forth, unfortunately. Moving down to the legs, you get a thigh cut, double jointed knees, but as you can see, you get the ugly pins in the knees, but at least they're the same colour. And then you do get boot swivel, which doesn't break up the design because the boots are a different colour. So again, nice to have the whole family in these matching uniforms. It does make this sort of look for the Fantastic Four have a unique presence on the shelf, as it's going to be the only team we've gotten that have the whole family. So I quite like that aspect to it. But it's just a shame she's on a older body. I would have liked to seen the updated female body for this sort of teen scale. Now, she comes out of the box with a set of like big gripping hands, which I assume is to hold one of the accessories, but she also has a set of tighter gripping hands, but they sort of look like trigger finger hands, but I suppose that finger's for button pressing. And finally, a set of fisted hands as well, which you know I appreciate for just standard neutral poses. So there we have Valeria, and there we have Franklin. For the very first time in figure form, we have the brother and sister, the son and daughter of Reed and Sue, Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. And yeah, they look good at just sort of face value, don't they? So could Valeria have been on a better body? Yes, absolutely. But when you pose them on the shelf, they're going to do the job. They do come with a few little extra accessories, but honestly, nothing exciting, nothing we haven't seen before. Everything here is just straight up reuse. We get this little LED screen that we've got from the AIM Supreme Scientist, the two beakers that we've got with both Beast and Lizard, and then some sort of blast effects that we've got with loads of weapons, but they actually plug in to the top of the beaker. And as you can see, Franklin can hold the beakers, no problem at all. He can help his daddy do some experiments, and then Valeria can just stand there with the iPad watching YouTube, probably watching Dan Who Reviews, to be honest. And then finally, we have Turg, who is an advanced moloid who literally got run over, and now he is just a head in a jar, Futurama style, a member of the Future Foundation. And if you couldn't tell, it was just straight up reuse of this Scott Lang head in the jar we got from the What If series. So it has that same sort of translucent dome that disattaches. That's a separate piece, which exposes Turg's head sculpt, which he seems quite happy being a head in a jar, doesn't he, to be fair, with that little grin there and his eyes closed. But the head and the neck is one solid piece, all merged together and then glued to the base. So you're not going to be able to take that off and find him a body. He did have a body. There are other moloids with bodies as well, and maybe we will get moloids in the future. Maybe we'll get Future Foundation. If there's one way to get me to buy another set of Fantastic Four figures, it's put them in those white Future Foundation costumes. Maybe a Dragon Man as well would be great. I know a lot of people would really want that. So there we have Turg, the moloid head in a jar. He has got the hole in the base, as you can see there, and that plugs into this translucent stand, as you can see, which does work. I was going to borrow this for Scott, but Scott doesn't have the hole in the bottom, so you're going to have to Dremel that, and obviously the bases are a slightly different shade of metal colour, but there you go, there's Turg in a jar. Pow! And honestly, that's what I've been waiting to see since this 2-pack was revealed. I wanted to see the whole Fantastic Four family together, all in the matching uniforms, as this is the only costume we have now with the complete team, including the kids. So it does make this sort of Dan Slott era Fantastic Four team sort of unique for the collection, as now you can display them as the whole family, and they do look good together. Now, I'm not too sure if Franklin is a little bit too tall, as he might be taller than his dad and his uncle Johnny Storm, but I'll stand them next to each other in a second. But before I do that, I just wanted to pose them up to see how they look on display. I think Valeria is about the right height, to be fair, into scale, and those two head sculpts are so much better than the other head sculpts, to be honest. That is the disadvantage of those figures being a little bit older, and they missed out on the digital face printing tech. But yeah, just as a generic sort of matching team, all on the shelf, then yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Here we have Franklin compared to his dad Reed Richards and his uncle Johnny Storm, and all three of these are on their own base bodies, but they're all about the same height. I just can't work out if Franklin should just be a smidge smaller than both of these, but it still works for a display. The unfortunate disadvantage though is because both Reed and Johnny were made a good few years ago, they're on older bodies that still have the pins, and the face tech isn't really on par with Franklin. So Franklin is clearly the superior figure here, as his on the completely pinless, really articulated body with the face printing tech. But anyway, still look great for a display. Here we have Valeria compared to her mother Sue Storm, and this scale makes much more sense for mother and daughter. Now unfortunately, both of them are on older Marvel Legend bodies, both have the single jointed elbows, they've both got the pins, so unfortunately they sort of match up in that regard. Where they don't match up though is Valeria's head sculpt is superior in comparison to Sue Storm. That digital face printing tech makes a hell of a difference, and you don't really notice until you compare it to older Marvel Legends. So that is the unfortunate mismatch here, but otherwise in regards to scale and uniform, it will still work. Now personally, my favourite version of the Fantastic Four will always be the lighter blue with the white collar. It is my mind's eye of the Fantastic Four, and I'd love to complete the family in that costume too, but to do that you need a much younger Franklin and Valeria. You definitely need a younger, blonder Franklin, that's for sure. So maybe in the future we can complete that team, but at least it gives you a couple of differences for the display for now. Continuing with comparisons, we have a couple of Spider-Men. First up, next to Valeria, we have the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, and then next to Franklin, we have the 60th anniversary Spider-Man, who both him and Franklin share the exact same Marvel Legend base body, even frustratingly down to the detail where Franklin still has the armholes for the webs that Spider-Man does, which is a little lazy reuse in my opinion. So yeah, a little detail you're probably not going to notice, but it is definitely there. Here we have the 20th anniversary Captain America and the Mark 70 Iron Man. Here we have the brand new Marvel Legends Yondu and Star-Lord, who I have just done reviews for on the channel. So this is a cheap plug, to be completely honest. The comparison has no relevance. Go and check out my reviews for Yondu and Star-Lord. And let's bring Turg back in as we introduce Franklin and Valeria to the Who crew with Frogman, Tigra and White Rabbit. And Turg does have Who crew potential, I'm not going to lie. And then last but never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hal, Fire, Hank. And no, Captain Britain's not hitting anyone with Excalibur today. These two are young kids after all. And also, Franklin happens to be one of the most powerful beings in the universe, so you don't want to mess with him. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Fantastic Four 2-pack with Franklin and Valeria Richards. Now, you know me, I'm always happy to get brand new characters in the collection, and we have never gotten these two until now. And it's also nice to complete a Fantastic Four team and turn it into a Fantastic Four family. Now, I don't mean to get all Vin Diesel on you, but you know what I mean. This Stan Slott version of the Fantastic Four in the darker outfits are now a complete team. It makes me want to display them a little bit more predominantly in the collection, if that makes sense. If I was being selfish though, I'd still want my mind's eye version of Franklin and Valeria, where they're much younger kids in the more classic attire. But that's just up to me. I'm sure everyone will have their own opinions and preferences, but I still think these are a nice representation of the version of Franklin and Valeria they're meant to be representing. I just don't like the mismatch of parts and a new body for Franklin but an old one for Valeria. They should be going all out here. Give Valeria a nice pinless updated body as well. But anyway, it is what it is at this point. You can love it, you can hate it. Let me know in the comments below. And if you like Marvel Legends, then well, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlists, but most importantly, please, please, please hit that subscribe button, hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram, it's Dan Who, and I'm on Twitter as well. Tweet me at Dan Who Reviews. Don't be shy, and as always, my name is Dan W, and I will of course see you on the next one.